Hey everyone, this is Srinivas here and you are watching Tricks and Codes. As per our last video, we will see the overview of to-do management list. So what we will do in this project is basically we will have our daily or weekly tasks that which we want to complete. Like let's say every morning you wake up, you have planned to complete the task one by one. That which it will give some sort of satisfaction at the end of the day. So, assume that you are a college student and writing your SEM exams, that which you need to cover all the important chapters or important questions. So, what we will do is you will list down all the important chapters or questions from the whole syllabus and you will try to begin your preparation. So, once you complete your chapter 1, you come and you mark down that chapter was completed, and the same as for the second chapter as well, so that you will have some idea that what are all important chapters you have covered and what are all left for the preparation. So yeah, for this type of scenario we are actually creating this project. When I say the web project in the Spring or in any other framework, we will follow some pattern or some process. So one such type of pattern or process we follow here in our Spring project is MVC, Model View Controller. So now we will see what is MVC. Let's say user is requesting some data from the server where our application lies. So once the user sends the request, we wish to get some output, right? So do you imagine how this scenario works at the backend? We will see that today. So inside the server or an application, we used to have layers from which the request is passed through and will provide us with the output. So we will see what are all the layers we have inside the server. The first one is the controller layer. When the user sends the request, it will first go to this controller layer, then the request passes through the service layer, and then it will process your request. And if there is any information needed from the database, then it will reach out to a repository layer, which is the mediator for the service layer and the database. But why do we require all these layers? Don't we get just data from the controller layer itself? Well, we can directly use controller layer to get the required output. But when we are building a big application like WhatsApp, Facebook, or even Microsoft Teams, this approach will not work because we cannot do all the coding in a single class file, right? So that's why we have created different layers to perform their individual works. I think you got some basic idea of this MVC concept. So now we will freshly create a new project that represents the to-do management list. So go to Spring Initializer and select the language Java, then the project Mabin and Spring Boot, the default version we are selecting the Spring Boot version. Group ID as com.tnc and artifact ID as to-do management, and then the packaging as jar and Java version 17. Now let's go to the dependency. Here we are adding the Spring Web and then Lombok, and when we are creating that application we must need the database, right? So for the database connectivity we are actually going to add the JDBC dependency over here. So let's add the dependency for the JDBC, and then I am actually using the MySQL database. So for that I am selecting the MySQL driver, and yeah, we are good with this project dependencies, and then we will try to download it, and now we will try to extract it. Let's go to the file explorer and then give a right click on the project and extract all, and then extract. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Let's go to the IntelliJ IDEA and go to the files and then open the browser and select the extracted file. Click on trust and open a new window. Yeah, we have imported this project into the IntelliJ IDEA. Now we will create a new class called to do controller. So let's go to that src main and java and give a right click and select the java class, and here I am typing the class name as to do controller. So yeah, we have created this class and we will try to create a method here. So let's type public string get list, and we will return the list of to do tasks will be provided. So yeah, that's it. Like, we have created this class, actually just named as a controller class called to do controller, but we don't mention anywhere that this class is a controller layer, right? So for that, type at the rate controller on top of his class. So don't be confused here. What is this at the rate controller? So basically we will call it as an annotation, and in Java actually an annotation is a form of synthetic metadata that can be added into the Java source code. Annotations are data about data. They provide additional information about the code itself. Annotations can be used by the compiler tools or runtime environment to process the code in various ways, and they can provide the instructions, suppress warnings, or provide information about the runtime processing. So the syntax of the annotation should be begins with at the rate symbol and followed by the annotation we use. In this case, it is at the rate controller. So with this, we are letting the compiler know that this is the controller class. So whenever we start our compiler, the compiler will compiles and it will let the Spring know that here is our controller class. So how do we accept the request which is coming from the user? So for that, we use at the rate request mapping annotation on top of this class. So okay, we have declared this class as a controller and a request mapping, so that when the request comes, the compiler will directly send the request to this class only. So how the user sends the request? Basically, the user will type some URL in the browser, right? And from the browser, we are getting this request. So most of the URLs which we have are the home page URLs, which can be the domain name. For example, when we type spring.io in the browser, we will go to this Spring documentation page, right? But when we click on why Spring, it will actually navigate to the new page. That's fine. But if you see in the URL, it has changed it, right? Like, it has changed it to spring.io slash why Spring. So when we dot spring.io slash why Spring, it will navigate to this page. And if you remove this why Spring and keep the backslash, will this go to the new page? No, right? It is going to this spring.io page only. Similarly, for why Spring, when we give backslash, it is actually going to this why Spring page only, because this backslash does not have any value in the end of the URL, but it will contain some value in the middle of the URL. So basically, we are going to specify the domain name, and all these URL endpoints we are going to write in our code, and then we will going to deploy it into the server. But now let's think, are we sending any data to the server when we are calling this spring.io page? No, right? No, we are not sending any data, right? So this type of request, we basically call it as a get request. So to get the output of this get list method, we need to add the annotation at the top of this method called as @get mapping. So this will handle this get request from the user. So let's save this and let's try to run the project. Let's go to the main class and give a right click and click on and run this project. I think we are getting some error right here. I think we have selected this JDBC dependency into our project. So that's where we are getting this error. So let's go to this pom.xml file and let's try to remove this JDBC configuration. So actually I was just trying to comment it out, like both the MySQL driver and this JDBC. For that, let's select all these things and let's press Control / on this keyboard. It will directly comment out all these dependencies. Then we actually able to see one reload button on top of the right corner, right? So what this basically means is when we change anything in the pom.xml file, we need to reload our mapping to adjust the dependencies which we have added into the project. So let's try to reload these. Okay, now let's go and restart our project. It will take some time, and see, we can able to see that our project has started successfully under the port 8080. Now let's open the browser and open a new tab and let's type http localhost 8080. Wait, we are not getting any output right here. We are getting some white label error page. Something went wrong. So let's go to our project and let's open this controller class. And when we say @controller and when we return any text inside the method, it will basically think that we have an HTML page inside our project and it will go and search for this page and it will show as an output. So since we don't have any such HTML page which is named as the list of to-do task will be provided, right? So to actually see this output, we actually need to convert this @controller annotation into the @rest controller annotation. So with this, we're actually creating a REST API application. So what does this REST API application? So basically a normal application will handle both front end and the back end, but this REST API will actually handle the back end and it will transfer the data as an API to the other applications. So I think you got some basic idea and we will try to stop and rerun the application. And if you see, our application has started, and let's go to the browser and let's refresh it. See, now we are able to see the data, that is the list of to-do tasks will be provided. So with this we have created a controller class successfully and we are getting the data. And we will try to see the other layers in the upcoming videos of this series. So until then, please like this video, share with your friends and do subscribe to this channel.